Welcome to the Tea Tie Pod, where we normally take off our ties and offer our guests some tea. Let them relax a bit and give us insight into what makes them tick, not just in Angola, but the African continent as well. I'm your host, KD, and I'm here with my co-hosts,
Loretta, what's up?
Helio.
the usual. Today, the three of us are sat on this side because we're doing it differently. Today, we have a guest with us who goes by the name Mario. Normally, as you know, we do not introduce our guest. We give them the opportunity to talk because this is really just a conversation. So we're going to pass it on to Mario. Mario, welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, this is going to be my first podcast or whatever interview in English.
Oh, okay.
So
We're glad that we could try it here.
finally, I will prove to the world that I might know how to speak English.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's going to be very interesting to me, especially because I feel that it's been so long since I was speaking English for so long. Nowadays, I only speak English when it's needed.
Okay,
Right.
fair enough.
Yeah, even with my children, I'll be like, nah, I don't know if you will have to learn English by the name of God, you know. When I was kid, I also learned by myself.
You're just throwing them out there.
I will be like, I mean, so it's gonna be a great opportunity for me, not just to speak to you guys, but to also practice some of my English.
It's a
Perfect,
pleasure.
perfect.
It's a really pleasure to have you here
Yeah.
at the podcast. And you have done so many great things. And again, having personalities like you is our intention. So the world can see that in Angola we have diamonds.
Yeah.
Like a human, capital human, they are considered diamonds and gold. And you are one of those gems as well.
Thank you.
Laura's
thank
about
you,
to cry.
Bring
Shed a
that
tear.
emotion. Bring that emotion.
I would say the real gem is in the middle because I've been trying to
Yeah.
steal Loretta. I keep telling her everywhere
my
I go,
God.
look, Loretta,
She's
I will
amazing.
steal you. I will steal you.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Thank you.
So
Okay. All right.
it's great. It's great.
So, Mario, who are you?
Mauro.
Mauro, desculpa.
I would say, don't worry. You can call me whatever.
Let's get
a
this
little
out.
dilemma with
I have a
names.
bit of dilemma with names,
Companies, people.
company names. Yeah,
Come
this
on.
is bad.
Understand something. When it comes to English,
Uh-huh.
I don't mind about my name. I've
Okay.
missed too many flights in my life because they were on the speaker calling Wara, Muriel, and I was just there chilling. Yeah.
So, who are you?
I will say what I wrote on my LinkedIn, not because I use it, but just to have it. I just put up my LinkedIn just to say that I exist, but I don't really,
Look
I
at
don't really
him on
mind.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, but I say that I am a being that lives in a very distant planet called Angola,
Yeah.
where I just want to do one thing, but I have to do a lot of things
Oh, that's
to
nice.
make that one thing work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far, that's the personality I think I am,
Okay.
you know, and it causes a lot of confusion, you know, because we are dealing with a world that wants you to say, I am this.
Correct.
Put in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I try to say, well, okay, but in the planet where I come from, I cannot. I cannot be this. I wish I could. But yeah, unfortunately, I've been doing all these things not because I wanted, but it is part of my journey, if I can say so. Like, in order to do what I want to do, which is to create solid platform that others can also use it to uplift themselves, but also share the ideas to other kids that are coming from the same background that I'm coming from, that is possible, you know, because I grew up in an environment where if you want to discuss about something that is possible, you use a foreign example,
Exactly.
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So I've made my quest to make certain things happen here, and whenever I found an obstacle, it creates, you know, like water, I divide
Opportunity.
and I go
Opportunity,
around
yeah.
it. And this makes people think that I'm doing here, and then no, I'm just the same one.
I know your pain.
I feel like though it's in knowing his pain, I feel like as Angolans, especially in the generation that we're in, we have such a huge burden to carry because we have to be like at the forefront of shaping what the future is going to look like tomorrow. Like if we look at the Western societies, like they have the freedom to just be. Because all the examples are set for them, all the ways have been paved for them. But for us, it's like we have to keep reinventing ourselves so that we can also find out who we are and the legacy that we want to leave behind.
And,
you know?
and we don't have the structures to make things happen. It's not just the freedom.
Exactly.
Because sometimes some people will hear you talking about freedom and they will move the conversation to freedom and say, no, freedom, okay, then we're going to give you freedom. That's not just that. We need to add when Laurette is talking about the freedom, she's talking about the freedom to roam between all these structures that are already set for them to succeed. And we are here fighting and being compared to figures that they don't need to go down to lay the bases, you know?
Yeah.
The base is already there.
It's already there.
It's already
Sometimes they even start in an 11th floor.
Yeah.
But we have to go down, up, right, and left. And we try to do all these things. And I guess that the thing is not to say that is whether it's more difficult or not, but it shows how inventive we are, you know?
As a people.
Yeah.
No, that's is true because, like I said, you may start when you look at others, they start on the 11th floor. Like when you look at all the startups that are out there in the world, when you look at the West, you're like, oh, these people started like this. But when you go down to real devs, like where did they actually really start?
Wait a minute, because he started with $130,000.
Exactly. With open doors only.
and then when you look where you're coming from, they still putting 1 million kwanzas as
the price for prices for events.
So it is just something that I look at it and I laugh because I think that we still don't understand that we can do so much if we align our incentives with the priorities. I keep giving some examples. Nowadays, we keep on bringing foreign international companies to do this and that. All right. But imagine you paying $10 million to this company that doesn't know your reality.
Your culture and
culture. Just go to one of these institutions, technical institutions, for instance, and you say, or even go on TV and say, we have 100 million kwanzas, which is $100,000.
Okay.
To whoever brings us this solution. You will see even kids with 16, 15 years old bringing you the solution you're looking for.
No, that's very true.
You know,
that's very true.
But do we have our youth? They are ready and prone to do things, make things happen. But the question that goes is that do we have the facility to do it, the means, the tools?
Sorry, you say our youth. I think some of our youth, others have fallen into the same trap as their parents. Whereas I'm waiting for the state to help me out. I'm waiting for that. So it's like
how did roundabout that?
But what about the demographics?
I wouldn't say.
Think about the demographics.
I wouldn't say that they waiting for the state. First of all, the state behaves this way. The state in Angola acts as I am here to provide. And we've seen this in many situations. You see some people, first of all, I think in Angola, we don't have the procedures clear. For instance, if you want to achieve this, do this, and that. So I know that I've done enough to deserve it. The concept of what you deserve is completely random. Some people get it, others don't. You and your friend are doing the same exact thing, waking up and sleeping at the same exact time. He might get it, and you know, or vice versa. And I think that the way when people relegate themselves to wait from the state is more like the frustration, you know, has got to a point where the only way for you to keep on living and maybe believing on a better future is to believe that they will change.
That the state will change.
Because you know that you've done what you could, but nothing happened.
Okay.
So we have a lot of frustration here. We have a generalized feeling that nothing I do will change what we live in.
Correct.
The false belief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the false belief. But the interesting thing about reality is that once you in that tunnel,
You can't get out.
you
That's
can get
it.
out, you know.
Yeah.
That is it.
And that's what actually makes a little bit difficult for a lot of people. And this is why we need to find ways of giving hope.
How do you do that?
I mean, is it giving hope or is it changing the mindset? Because technically they're hanging on to a false belief, which
false
is
hope.
creating
Yeah.
the law of attraction. You know, it's into play now where everything around them reflects this difficulty. So like if I believe that there's no hope and I'm gonna wake up today and there's traffic, this country's not gonna change. You know,
I mean, I don't know who said it, but there is this saying that goes like, you will never convince someone to work harder.
yeah.
Yeah,
They have to
you
want
quit,
to.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we need to understand, I like to drink, as we say in Portuguese, from many sources. You know, and if we look from Christianity, you know, even as Christ priest or preaches, he also gives hope. You have to have hope.
Yeah.
If you don't have hope, it doesn't matter if I change your mentality.
Right.
How your mentality is going to change if you
think-
don't believe?
Yeah,
if
the
you,
hope comes first.
The
and
hope-
then the change.
Yeah. it
because the
trickles down.
hope longs
For
is
like
longing
something,
for that,
something, yeah.
for
Yeah.
that change. Now you prepared. And sometimes when they see, hey, this guy was here with me, you know, I keep saying I don't talk to guys above 25 years old. They lost. They out.
That's so
But
young.
But
You're talking to Anthony. who's like, come on.
in the sense when I'm talking to a certain audience.
Okay, in terms of audience, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking to the 25 below, not
Okay.
because I actually have lost hope, but sometimes it's easier for a kid
Yeah.
to look at you and say, I want to beat him.
Yeah.
And I want this to happen. Kids must look at us and feel like, oh, he did that.
Correct.
Even if he doesn't feel inspired by us, even if he doesn't believe that it's possible, but just the wish to beat us, and we put the bar high,
Yeah.
In order for them to.
now you will have to jump it.
Yeah.
Because
Correct.
once he actually can jump, things will start improving.
And that takes us to education,
Yeah.
right? And especially in Angola context. So now we've spoken about education to an extent in the past. And even as you're talking now, it takes me to how I deal with my own kid, right? I always tell him, I was like, listen, you have to be better than me. I got here. That's like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Your next step is to be higher than me. Now we look at educational system within Angola, and then where is it? Is okay? There's hope that it can get better, but what can be done to make that change?
You know, in your house, usually there is the space that you don't give much thought. Some is their room, others maybe the backyard, you know. That's what is education in the academic sense, okay, in Angola. We are not taking care of that space anymore, you know, for many reasons, not just from the government perspective, that you have a ministry that doesn't really care.
Yep.
You know, you even have now reports that they are the ministry that has spanned the list
Yeah,
Seriously?
they have the less budget, I think, attributed.
Well,
They have the least budget.
They have
Yeah.
like
But
the
now,
least
they
from
have
what
the
they
least
got.
budget, and from what they got, they are from all the ministries. They are the ones that have spent
Using the list.
the list,
The least, yeah.
which means
Next year they're gonna get less.
not
course.
just
That's
that,
how-
not
that's exactly
just
it,
that.
yeah.
Even if they keep on giving them the same budget, if it's 5 million, they spending 3 million or something.
They want to give change back.
Then you have these funny things happening where kids do not have books and we don't care.
Yeah.
And when I say we as even as people, we
Parents,
don't care.
yeah.
Because we have come to the point that I have money, I will try to put my kid into a good school. So now we have created this idea that a good school is an expensive school.
Expensive school.
The way we doing, we don't pay attention to this, but the roads in Angola, especially in Luanda, affect education. You spend more time
On the road, yeah.
on the road in traffic than you spend your time with your kids or your brother or whatever that you need to educate.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's something that I was actually going to touch on in this very question, is that people can only absorb information, or whether it's educational or socially, if they have comfort in their lives. So the minute that the kid has imposed struggles on them, their concentration levels are going to be different. So it doesn't matter what information you're feeding to them, they're not going to be able to absorb it like at 100%. They might take 10%.
It depends. We grew up in a period of struggle.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a period that we perceived that everybody was struggling, you know? So, and in a way we could also understand that our parents were trying their best to give us also the best,
Yeah.
you know? But our parents, they could come back at 12 o'clock. From 12 to 2
we'll have
o'clock, they
lunch
were
and
at
then
home.
Look at them, yeah.
Max 5-6 p.m. they were
They're
back
back.
at home. You would have dinner, so they could also follow up and see if the school was doing great work. Teachers, they had dignity. Nowadays, if you say you are a teacher, you broke.
But that's the pain. That's the
exactly.
That's the demographic pain as well. Like as Luanda and any other major cities in Africa, they have expanded in such proportion, which is it doesn't match the growth of these economies from this country. So and I like the way you illustrate, like there are some compartments from the house. There's no being paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's the most important place, right? It's like education. And going back to what you're saying, and I get it about the mindset. Okay, we do have hope. We have the Mauro Sergio we aspire to, but where did Mauro Sergio get his education? And what tools do I have available for me to obtain such education, to trail on the same path? So I believe that's a great issue.
Exactly. I came also from a period where teachers had dignity.
Correct.
So as kids, we also were thinking maybe one day I will be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. Nowadays, every time if I can teach kids, especially maths and physics, I want to do so. You know? And teachers were really good. So I've done my how we say primary school. It was in a public institution. Then grade 5 to grade 8 it was a private. Then grade 9 to grade 12 it was public. Again, it was in Macarenco where I did
technical institution, right?
Yes, technical institution, and I've done industrial electronic and automation.
Okay.
Very nice.
The level of mathematics
Needed for.
that I got from Macarenco took me until my 3rd year at university to find something greater.
Wow.
So I was basically
And you're saying you did
my
university
was in
in
South
South
Africa.
Africa, Cape Town.
They are considered way ahead of us.
Yeah.
When I got there and my first 3 months was at the English school, then they said, look, you already can speak, but we can't do much with you here However, we have a good relationship with the high school. Maybe you can stay there until we finish. And I say, okay, fine. What can I do? So I went to the high school, and they gave me test. It was like June, July.
Okay.
And I see people using calculators, and I was like, this got to be a trap. I went to that test, maths, and the only thing I had was my pencil and a pen.
That's
And
a
I-
sort.
As I was shocked that the other guys were using the calculator, they were also shocked
You were not.
That
that
you
I
were not
was not
using-
using calculator.
Wow.
Okay, so we got to physical science tests. We were doing chemistry, and they gave them the periodic table.
Yeah.
I can recall most of the periodic table until now.
Wow.
You know,
That's good. That's
it's
good.
just how things had to be here. And then when the marks came, high marks, I was, and especially because when here in Angola, my mommy didn't even accept 19, which is 19 out of 20.
Out of 20, yeah.
I would be in trouble.
You need to get 2020.
20. I would not play video game. My life was mostly about video games. She wouldn't let me do anything if I had 19. So my colleagues, they hated me because I was just
was
slashing 20, 20, 20. But I was trying to save my life. They never understood that. So I got there, and I had this shock. And they were like, "Oh, how can you do this and you don't use any calculator?"
Yeah.
Then I went to university, and only on the second semester of the university, they started doing derivatives.
Wow.
I started derivatives here, maybe
well.
grade 10 or grade 11. And then integrals. And I was like, these kids, they playing around. You know? However,
Sorry if I could touch you. Would you like some more H2O?
no, I'm fine.
Okay, you're good.
See, all those that are coming out,
No math.
Yeah. I mean, so when I look now at the way we treating education, we have given, I don't know how many steps back. I think we ran backwards. You know, I think that, and now we even added grade 13. Okay,
Oh, that didn't exist before?
didn't exist. So
Oh, yeah,
nowadays,
they added one more year.
yeah, they
Yeah,
added more
okay,
year. As
okay,
if you were not living older enough, the education system, they put
Right.
you now into a position where you will finish
But I
your.
believe that should compensate when
They
the
don't.
person goes to the university because
they,
we had
they don't do 3 years.
But
They
it
do
doesn't
4 years.
transfer.
They will do the same.
How old are you when you're in year 12, Phil?
When I left my
18?
grade 12, I was 18.
18 about
Yeah,
that.
18.
Mhm.
Going to- Yeah, so it's about the same as UK.
Yeah, but some people get to finish
No,
at
but
16.
then when you go to UK, you could do your degrees in 3 years or
For
4 years.
yeah.
But then if you have to do your masters, you could do also your masters in 1 year.
1 year or 2 years, yeah.
Not how it works here.
Explain.
We want
Right.
people to live in the academia here. So you will do 4 years. And then if you go for, okay, you do 4 years,
Okay.
but starts with the fact that it's not actually 4 years, it's 5 years, because once you finish the 4th year, they will not give you your diploma right away.
Oh,
So your graduation or your ceremony will be in the following year.
right, okay.
So a lot of things, if you have to go somewhere else, they will not allow you. It's not in the sense that they will not allow you. You will have to find a lot of corners
To try and get
to
to that.
try to get around and get your document. You will not get your document. So by the time you get it, you actually have done 5
5
years.
years. Okay.
You know. So then, if you decide to do masters, you're not gonna do it. 1 year doesn't exist. 2 years, you will also not do it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other problem that they do not mention: most of the universities are private.
Okay.
Because they're private, what is their
The tuition.
no, their
The curriculum?
objective?
It's
Okay,
money.
the curriculum.
Money.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
No,
whatever
the-
you do,
the
I want
intention
to
of-
fail you. I want to fail you so that you can stay another year and pay
Wow.
us. We
Oh
need
my
you.
God.
But
Wow.
this education system, I think, that has become throughout the world.
No, throughout the world, you have the management is private.
Yeah.
The tuition fee that you are paying, is not, first of all, is not compared to here, unless we're talking about Harvard or whatever, but the other universities, when we look, especially as Angolans, when we look at other people complain about their tuition fee, we even laugh. We be like, nah, you're playing around. Come on, this is nothing. Then you have the Ministry of Education supervising all the lecturers. They know that one day some guy might show up and they want to review all the tests, make sure that it is up to the standards and everything like that. We don't have this here.
So hold on. Let's go back there.
First of all, we need to find out how much is the tuition here on average for a college degree.
50,000, I guess.
Yeah, 50,000, 45,000.
Dollars?
$45.
$50 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
$50 a month.
One.
So it's a lot
Considering the
less.
currency.
Yeah, it's a lot less.
$50 a month, yeah. Because UK, when you go to university, you come out of university with a 20 grand debt. That's minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like I paid $80K, but it was a private university,
So minimum you come out with.
and they were trying to get us out in 2 years. They weren't like 3 years. You were already taking too long there.
But let's shift a little bit, Mauro. From engineering, South Africa, to becoming an entrepreneur, from hosting house parties to become an event organizer,
Yeah.
from being a photographer to being a National Geographic explorer. What challenged you to get into all these?
Well, I think that I always like to say that it's by accident, but one of the things that we must understand is that I have engineering in my way of being and think and stuff. Yeah, engineering has become a language to me. I don't see engineering as a way of using tools, but the way I think, engineering forces you to see something and say, there are 10 ways of doing this. One is more efficient, others not. What are the conditions and blah, 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 blah. So one other thing that engineering helped me understand is patterns. Okay? So I was doing in school, well, here in Angola, in Macarenco, it was like engineering. We did a lot of lab work. When I got to South Africa, I would spend a day, 4 hours a day in a lab.
Okay. So it opened you up to more.
You start understanding patterns. I don't think. When I see pattern, I don't think.
Just do.
Yeah, it makes you, as you speak, sometimes you speak a word and it's wrong, but you just speak.
You just speak,
and it's wrong. That's what happens to me when I see a pattern. When I start doing things, I had a situation in school. We had this lecturer. We consider him very difficult to deal with.
Okay.
His name was Mr. Esbach.
How many years ago was that?
It left a mark on you.
Yeah, that's
It was 2010. So
okay.
2010.
10 years,
yeah. 15 years ago.
15 years,
15 years ago. So he got into class and he said, "Okay, all of you want to be engineers?" We were like, "Yes." So, who will own a business here? We were like, he was like, "Okay, do you know most of business are run by something that an engineer did?" We were like, "Oh yeah, wait, good. So why will you not be the owner of your business?" You were like, "No, because we want to be engineers." But he said, "Okay, look, whoever goes to the business faculty and applies for project management and business, there was a subject that is just business.
Okay.
he will already have 50 mark
Oh wow.
in my subject. So
Wow.
even if you don't show up here, but you
Went there.
show up there, you're already good in my subject.
Wow.
And I was like, I love easy ways. So I went, no, I used to go to his class mostly because I understood this man is clever. So I must come and understand what he does. And he was teaching us electronics 2. Then he also taught us electronics 3. But as I did this, I started understanding a couple of stuff. You know, the fact that South Africa embeds business in their
Curriculum.
curriculum.
Yeah.
It is very important. When I came here, I started understanding, okay, I'm doing this, but I can set up a business
Yeah.
and also help me understand the value of other people around me, you know, because the most important stuff is I call my friends, the ones that I work with, I call them unicorns.
Okay.
They're really unique,
Okay.
hard to find,
Okay.
a myth, you know.
Like Loretta.
Exactly. No, exactly. I kept telling
It's gonna
her.
make the audience think that I'm just like
No,
revered.
she's a huge brain.
Okay.
You know, and I was like,
The
Thank you.
unicorn.
yeah, the unicorn. And I was like, if I work with Loretta, my life will definitely be easier. I'm always looking the easier way. I mean, yeah, people look at us building huge stages and Kajalo doing whatever. Oh, no, these guys, they
I
like
think
the
it's the
hard way.
one-man
No,
show, but it's a team.
It's
No,
a team.
it's a team, but it's also us going for the easiest way.
That's crazy.
You know, because there's no way you will set up a place you want to put there 5,000 people, for instance, and you make a stage that people can barely see the DJ.
The DJ, yeah.
Or there's something that doesn't that doesn't put their mind into it. This is what we try to create. So all these things, when I start doing photography, I start understanding the pattern.
Okay.
You know, one of the guys told me, an American photographer told me, a classic is a classic for a reason, whether you like it or not.
True.
If you see something that people are uploading, even if you hate, study it.
Amazing.
Because the world is not about you. So when I start understanding that, and I start looking at my photography, I said, okay, I like to take pictures like that. But then I start seeing what the great photographers were doing. You know, Fong Wong. I was looking at Marco Grob. I was looking at a lot of great photographers.
Yeah.
And I see, they all have a certain pattern.
Okay.
It's not visible to the eye, but they all go through the same process. So I would take a picture already thinking on how I'm going to put my picture on that template.
Okay.
All right. So when I do my picture, you look at it, it's pleasing to the eye. I've never been in a photography school. And in Angola, you don't have any school, anyone teaching you photography. So I had to learn by consuming too much photography,
Okay.
seeing a lot of videos, and then studying all those pictures. Okay, why
So you
is it a classic?
self-educate yourself. You
Yeah,
didn't
yeah. I
limit
spent-
yourself depending, okay, we need a school to go into to learn, but if I have the desire, just go on and
Yeah.
look for it.
I used to do one thing, which is, okay, I will spend 8 hours in school, I will spend 8 hours sleeping, but then I have 8 hours of nothing. This is where I'm going to
Explore.
explore, or I'll be with my girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. And back then, part of my sleeping time, part of that 8 hours of sleep, I would cut because I had to put my club going, you know.
Okay.
But then I would go to clubs also to understand the dynamic.
Okay.
I went to clubs so much that when I'm doing my event, I'm not doing my event from my perspective.
The
Right.
effect of the
I'm
people.
putting my event from the perspective of what I wanted to see when I used to go.
So
Nice.
Mauro right now for our audience is talking about the event he created annually, right?
Mhm.
It's called Kanjala. It became like a movement for young people together,
Yeah.
and it became also a cultural manifestation of the
You
youth.
used to go
Angola.
in my house.
Yeah, I was at the beginning. At the beginning,
Right at the beginning. We were like
when it started.
less than 40 people.
Okay.
You know,
started,
when
yeah.
we started, we were just doing that and keeping the pattern. The pattern,
I was one of the first guests.
yeah, the pattern keeps repeating itself. It doesn't
Okay.
matter the size.
Okay.
Amazing.
You know, it is the same way when we say something is chaotic. Okay, we say in Rwanda the traffic is chaotic because we have never taken a drone shot for
Of what's
40
happening.
days.
Yeah.
We will see that the problems happen at the same places.
Exact
The
same
one
place.
guy who wants to drive slowly in the front of everybody else. That's what I've
Not,
noticed.
not just that.
There's many,
You
but
see,
there's also two.
Yeah,
let me tell you one thing. Most of the roads in Angola, okay, some were built in the colonial era, which are roads built to separate people.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense that for you to go from Luanda to Porto Mbuim, you take almost 4 hours.
Okay.
Sure.
You will not work in Luanda and live in Porto Mbuim, but go anywhere in Europe, in America.
Yeah, we do hours.
you
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
you will work
From one city to
from
another.
one
it's
city to
normal.
another
It's
as
normal.
something very
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
The other thing, then you say, okay, we will build new roads. Who you bring?
Chinese.
Chinese, Portuguese
Brazilians,
people,
yeah.
Brazilian. These guys come and
Are
they
they
understand that the supervisor is someone that doesn't understand the job. This is why you have the fast lane, and the fast lane somewhere, somehow, is going to become a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, it will create traffic.
Traffic. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Just speeding down here.
You speed it
Yeah.
because you will now have to go down. Now, the only lane available for you to move fast is the slow lane,
That's true.
which, of
That's true.
course, now by bad behavior, you have people trying to also turn.
Yeah.
Just look at other people's road. You will see that if it's going to become a turn, you will have kilometers where the road is going to open
Start
up.
curving. Yeah.
Go to the Via Expresso, same thing.
Yeah.
You're
Same
coming fast.
All of a sudden, you see
All
the
of a
bumps.
sudden, there is something, bruh. You see,
That's true.
now we need to have people understanding the patterns, how we work, see things close and then far, superimpose it, and say we can repeat this at a higher scale
Yeah.
if we do this, and that. All this combination, the ability to see repetition.
I feel like you have found like the method to the madness, because for me, like I've been through many different careers, and it kind of gave me a sense of an imposter syndrome. That eventually I start to become shy of the things that I'm doing because I'm like, but I've already been that person that did this. But when you start to explain it and you're like, you find the similarities in everything. So you never feel like you're imposing yourselves in the spaces. You're actually taking advantage.
I do feel it.
Oh, yeah?
I think everybody feels
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
but
Good to hear.
one thing I keep saying to the world, to myself, do not glorify the fear. You know,
That's a good one.
we must never glorify the fear. People feel so special because they shy. Come on,
Shouldn't be that, yeah.
you know. I understand that I don't feel comfortable. I understand that I don't feel ready. But someone got to do it. It better be me.
Wow.
Second
That's
that.
powerful.
Second that.
Yeah.
In a more,
Second
I will say, in a more stupid way, I like to say, if we are here and someone runs here and we have a group of people pointing guns at us and they put a gun and they say, if you guys don't take a decision and kill one of you guys, we will randomly kill someone. I don't want to be part of that statistics, guy. If you are not fast enough to grab the gun and shoot someone, I will do it. I will not leave things to other
You could
people.
use an easier example, like eating the light slice of pizza on the table.
You went straight in. You went straight in.
Yeah.
Mario, tell me, when did that click? When did you understood that, okay, I won't let fear rule me. I need to get out there and start exploring.
Yeah,
Because you guys, again, you came with the engineering diploma. I don't know if your parents were expecting you to work in the field, and then you'd be like, okay, regardless of what my parents or my family or whatever it is, and you come to the point and decide, I'll do this.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm lucky enough to have a mother that understands me since I was a child.
Okay.
You know, because when I learned to read, I was watching TV.
Well,
Okay, so my mom realized that I could read, and I was like almost 3, and I would not go to school. So she started teaching me how to write.
Okay.
Okay, so when I went to school to do, we call it iniciação in Angola. What do we
it's
call?
pre-primary.
Yeah, pre-primary.
Okay.
I could already read
Well,
and write,
Okay.
and I was already reading my parents' books all around. And my dad had a lot of books, and my mom always talked to me as if I'm supposed to understand what she's
What
saying.
she's saying, yeah.
Okay, so we always understood each other. I am not afraid of trying my project, because if I can talk to my mom and she can understand, who are you to not understand, and who
That
are
is
you
true.
to tell me that I'm not gonna do it?
Yeah.
man.
You know, because the most difficult person,
You've already dealt,
Understood you,
you've
yeah.
already convinced them, so
but she understood. I'm
Yeah.
saying, you know, mom, I got this problem, because even the parties, I'm talking. I say, mom, look.
Actually, the one when your mom was there.
Yeah, but then she would
I guess
have
it
to
was the
leave.
first time or
Yeah,
something.
then she would
showed
have
up.
to leave. Well, mom, come on, people are coming. You cannot be here. We have to negotiate.
totally, yeah.
And we would always do this. So when I came here, one thing I said to myself, I still have my parents. They will pay for my food, for my car. So they will also pay for the house. I'm staying in their houses anyway, so I can fail,
Yeah.
you know. And if I'm failing too much, okay, then I will use my degree to get a job or
yeah.
whatever. But nowadays, back then I would still do it. And if I fail, I'm failing on my parents' money, all right, which is on food and stuff. But one thing more important happened when I was a kid. Angola has a problem that carries till now, which is people that are perceived to be high achiever in school. Everybody preached that he would become a failure in life.
Really?
Yes. Oh no, we call the term barra, né? You're too clever, nerd, or whatever. Oh, you nerd. Don't worry, you will be a nothing.
Really?
Yeah. So we have this concept that if you were too good in school, you will not be good enough in life.
Wow. And that's
Only very
key,
recently.
yeah, that's the key thing. And unfortunately, no, I don't think it's unfortunately. I feel like we need to bring you back in. We're gonna have to bring you back in.
Is that it?
Because there is so much to uncover.
Yeah, I
There's
feel like he has a very high IQ.
There's so much to uncover, and I feel like we can keep on going and going and going and going. So this is an official invite.
Yeah.
Please come back for part 1. You've done part 1. Part 2, part 3,
You guys
whatever.
are close to my house.
Yeah. I think it's the case just bring you in to hear, like one of the things we say is that when we bring people in is to actually understand what makes them tick. And from what you've been talking about for years, your patterns. And I think that's something more want to delve into and see how we can use that to help people, not just here in Angola, generations here to come, but also outside as well in terms of the rest of the continent. Because when we've been speaking in the past, we look at Angola is solo. But then now you have someone like yourself who your mind is open to change. Your mind is open to patterns, but also to change. So we'd like to delve more into that and see how we can bring that to the rest of the continent. So this is an official invite. Thank you from the T-Type Pod. It's been amazing sitting down with you. I've heard about you for a lot of years. But I was like, do you know what? One day we will meet. So thank you for coming, and thank you to Elio and Loretta for making this happen.
Yeah.
Next time we're gonna be diving into the enterprises, several enterprises
Yeah,
from tech to
we're going there. We're going there. We're definitely going there.
No, definitely.
And to our audience, we have sat down with, I don't know if I say the next generation of greatness, but we've been here with Mauro. If I said that right?
Mauro.
Yes, Portuguese. Mauro.
Forget your tongue exists and just move
My
your
tongue will
lips.
get right.
Mauro.
But anyway, to our audience, thanks for watching. You know the usual, subscribe to us, and I'm sure Mauro also has his handles as well.
Yeah.
So please go ahead.
Mauro _ Sergio with 3. But I guess that if you just write Mauro Sergio,
you
I will
find it.
show up.
Sure.
I will
All
show
right.
up.
So please go ahead, subscribe, and I'm sure you will get more information on what he's doing. We will also be in touch with him as well to give you guys more information on what he's doing. Events, guys, if you're in Angola or you're outside Angola, events are coming up. He's also doing loads of other things as well. So we will bring that up as well. And as I said before, he will be coming back for part 2, part 3, part 4, maybe part 5. So until next time, I am your host, KD. I'm here with our co-host.
Loretta.
and Elio always.
And special thanks once again to Mauro.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And finally, thanks to OB Studios for giving us time and to use the space to do our recordings. Till next time, see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers all.
Thank you.